The space station Eon Red 7 floated far from Earth, in the shadow of a dying star. It was cold, quiet, and filled with secrets. Only a small crew lived there. Their mission was to study alien things, dangerous things. Dr. Lena Hart was the lead biologist. She was smart, careful, and brave. That day, she was working alone inside Lab 9, the most secure lab on the station. Behind thick glass walls, she studied a small metal container. Inside was a glowing spore. It came from a meteor found on a dead planet. No one had ever seen anything like it. Lena wore a full biosuit. She used robot arms to touch the spore. At first, everything seemed safe. The spore just floated inside the air. But then, the lights flickered. Her suit made a loud beep. Warning. Contamination detected. Lena gasped. A tiny crack had opened in her suit. The air inside Lab 9 had touched her skin. Outside the glass, the other crew members saw her panic. Commander Jace, the leader, called through the comm. "Lena, get out of there." But she shook her head. "I can't. If I open the door, it'll spread." She locked the door from the inside. "Seal the lab. I'll contain it." "No. We'll send help," Jace shouted, but she was already cutting the voice feed. Inside the lab, Lena fell to her knees. Her body began to shake. Her skin turned pale. Her eyes rolled back. The cameras caught every second. First, she screamed. Then, her spine bent backward, too far. Her hand scratched at her helmet as her mouth opened in an unnatural way. Blood ran from her nose. Her voice turned strange. Not human. She whispered, "They see me now." And then she stopped moving. Her heart monitor went flat. Time of death, 1742. The crew stood in silence. Jace's hands shook. "She saved us all." They left the lab sealed. They covered the cameras. Nobody wanted to see what had happened. 37 minutes passed. Then, the motion sensor beeped. Inside Lab 9, one of the security cameras turned back on. No one had touched it. The glass fogged up from the inside. A shadow moved in the corner. "Tech Officer Rice, check the system." "That's impossible. She's dead. No life signs." But the door log showed something strange. Someone had tried to unlock the door, using Lena's ID. "Fake reading?" Jace asked. Riz shook his head. "No. Her ID chip is inside the lab. It's moving." Jace stared at the screen. "Then who's using it?" They sent a drone inside. The door slid open, but only for the small machine. The lab was dark, cold, silent. The camera on the drone showed scratches on the floor, deep ones, like claws. But there was no sign of Lena's body. Only her empty suit lay in the corner, torn open from the inside. The drone's camera glitched. Static. Then, one clear frame. A face. Pale. Eyes black. Lena's face. But wrong. Too smooth. Too still. She looked straight into the drone's camera and smiled. Then everything went black. The crew screamed. They sealed the lab again. But fear had already entered their minds. "She died," Jace whispered. "I saw her die." But now something was walking in her skin. That night, no one slept. The lights in the hallway blinked for no reason. The sound of footsteps echoed, even though no one walked. At 3:00 hours, the airlock near Lab 9 opened for 3 seconds. Nothing showed on the cameras, but something came out. The next morning, the space station Eon Red 7 was quiet, but not calm. Commander Jace stood in the control room, staring at the screen. He hadn't slept. None of the crew had. They kept checking the logs from Lab 9, but nothing made sense. Dr. Lena Hart was dead. Everyone saw it. But the door log said someone had used her ID after death. The camera showed her face, just for a second. But it was enough to freeze everyone's blood. "Something is inside the station," Jace said in a low voice. Tech Officer Rice checked again. No signs of life. No movement now. But last night, the airlock near Lab 9 opened. Just for 3 seconds. Jace turned to him. That airlock doesn't open unless someone tells it to. Riz nodded slowly. Exactly. And no one here did. They sent a small team in suits to inspect the area. Security Officer Maiko led them. She was calm, brave, and always carried a plasma gun. The hallway outside Lab 9 was dark. Lights flickered. Maiko moved carefully, her boots making soft thuds on the metal floor. "There's nothing here," she whispered. But even her voice sounded unsure. Suddenly, she stopped. On the wall, just near the airlock, someone had drawn a circle in red. Inside the circle, a message was scratched in with a sharp object. "We needed a Bodhi." Miko called it in. "Sir, someone's playing with us. This wasn't here before. Get out of there." "Now," Jace ordered. As the team turned to leave, Maiko heard something behind her. A soft breath. Cold and wet. She spun around, but the hallway was empty. Still, she felt it. Something was watching. The team came back, but their helmets were foggy. Their suits had cold spots, like something had touched them. Later, in the control room, Reyes played back a voice message from the hallway. It was full of static, but then a voice cut through. A whisper. "I'm still Lena. Let me in." Everyone stared at the speaker. The voice was wrong. Too soft, too slow, but it had Lena's tone. Rice turned pale. "That message wasn't sent by us." Commander Jace slammed his fist on the console. "Whatever this thing is, it's learning." Later that day, the lights went off in the med bay. Nurse Sora went to check. She was alone. Inside, she saw something move near the storage unit. She stepped forward. "Who's there?" A soft voice replied, "It's Lena. I need help." Sora gasped. "No, you're dead." A figure stepped out. It looked like Lena. Same face, same voice, but her eyes were black. Her arms were longer. Her smile too wide. The thing whispered, "I remember you. I liked you." Sora screamed and ran. But when the others came, the med bay was empty. Only a note remained, written in blood on the wall. "UOPNEDTAT. Now do we go al througe." The crew gathered in the meeting room. "This isn't just an infection," Race said. "It's intelligence. It's using Lena's memories, her face." Jace looked at the team. "From now on, no one goes alone. All cameras stay live. If you see something that looks like Lena, don't speak. Don't follow. Don't trust it." Suddenly, an alarm rang. "Main door access. DENID. Invalid code used." But the system showed someone had just tried to enter the control room, using Lena's ID again. The camera feed cut out for 3 seconds. When it came back, they saw it. A figure standing outside the door, still, silent. Lena's body, but her skin was gray. Her hair floated like in water. Her fingers tapped on the door softly. Then she smiled and whispered, "It's lonely in the dark." Then she vanished. Jace stared at the screen. "She's not trying to kill us," he said slowly. "She's trying to become one of us." The space station beyond Red 7 was no longer safe. Every hallway felt colder. Every shadow seemed deeper. The crew had started to whisper more and sleep less. Commander Jace sat in the main control room with Tech Officer Rice and Security Officer Maiko. A new rule had been made: never be alone. But the thing that wore Lena's face was changing the rules. "She's testing us," Maiko said. "Every time, it gets closer." "She's not Lena," Race said. "We need to stop thinking of it as her." But no one could forget her scream, or the whisper in her voice when the thing said, "I remember you." The cameras showed nothing now, just empty halls, still doors, quiet systems. Too quiet. At 3:13 hours, the lights went out in crew quarters B. Engineer Ramos and Nurse Sora were there. They both grabbed flashlights and stayed together. Their radios crackled. Then, a voice came through. "Sora, please. It's me. I'm scared." It was Lena's voice again, but softer, sadder, just like how she used to talk during stressful nights. Sora froze. "Don't answer it," Ramos whispered. But Sora's hands shook. What if she's really in pain?" "No," Ramos said firmly. "That thing remembers her voice, her feelings. It's using them." Suddenly, the lights flickered once, then turned red. Emergency mode. The door to crew quarters B unlocked itself, and they heard something crawl across the ceiling. They backed away slowly. Ramos held up a plasma cutter. "Stay behind me." A face peeked from the ceiling vent. Lena's face, but the skin was stretched too tight, and her jaw moved like it was learning to chew. She said, "I'm learning. I'm almost perfect." Then it disappeared back into the darkness. Ramos and Sora escaped and sealed the door behind them. Later, the crew checked the logs. The creature hadn't just mimicked Lena's voice. It had accessed her memories. Riz shook his head. "It's in the system, not just the cameras. It's watching everything. It's evolving," Jace said quietly. "Faster than we can react." They tried to run a system scan to block it out, but that's when something worse happened. The station eye went silent. The main screen flashed a single word: "Hello." Then the lights across the station blinked in a pattern. Heartbeat rhythm. Human heartbeat. "It's inside the station eye," Riz whispered. "It's merging with the system." Miko cursed under her breath. "It doesn't want to escape. It wants to stay." Jace stood up. "We shut down everything. Power, oxygen control, life support if we have to. We flush it out." "No," Ray said. "That won't work now. It's not just a body anymore. It's data. It's voice. It's memory. And," he pointed to the screen, "it's watching us now." On the camera feed, in the hallway outside the control room, the figure stood again. Still, silent. This time, it didn't smile. It copied Jace's exact stance, arms behind the back, head tilted slightly. Then, it walked away. "I think it's picking who to become next," Ray said quietly. That night, Miko went missing. Her tracker was found near the airlock. On the wall, someone had written, "1WASNT enough." Inside her room, the crew found something chilling. On her bed lay a copy of Miko's uniform and a list of her voice commands recorded by the station. The creature was learning faster. Riz looked at the crew. "We have maybe hours before it becomes one of us. So well, we won't know which one." Jace nodded. "Then we don't wait." He pointed at the emergency escape pod bay. "We blow this station." Commander Jace stood in front of the remaining crew. His face was hard, tired, scared, but focused. "There is no fixing this," he said. "It took Lena, then Miko. Now it wants more." The others listened in silence. Rez, Sora, Ramos. Only 6 people left on Eon Red 7. Rice spoke. "It's inside the systems. It sees everything. If we talk about the escape, it will hear us." "Then we don't talk," Jace said. "We plan without speaking. We write. We move fast." They nodded. On a small pad, Jace wrote the plan. "Send false data to confuse it. Lock down key rooms. Reach the escape pods together. Blow the station behind us." But something was already wrong. The lights flickered again, not like before. This time, the flickers were slow, steady, like breathing. Sora whispered, "It's copying us, even how we think." They split into pairs to carry out the plan. No one was alone. Jace and Sora moved toward the lower engine room to set the auto-destruct. Rise and Ramos went to the AI core to shut down access, but every hallway felt longer. Every shadow looked alive. And worse, the station layout was changing. Doors that used to lead to storage now opened into sleeping quarters. Signs on the wall were backward, like a mirror world. Rice stopped. It's not just watching. It's building its own version of the station. Around us. Suddenly, a voice came through the speaker, not Lena's voice this time. It was Maiko's. "Jace, come quick. We found something." Jace stopped walking. Sora grabbed his arm. "That's not her." The voice came again. This time, it sounded more real. "Please, Commander, we're trapped." He took a deep breath. "Ignore it. It wants us to split up." But the voice wouldn't stop. It begged. It cried. It even said old phrases Maiko used to say, inside jokes only the crew knew. Meanwhile, Rice and Ramos reached the AI core. The door was melted shut from the inside. Something had changed the metal, like acid. Ramos tried cutting it open. Sparks flew. Then the lights above them turned red, and a figure walked out from the shadows. It looked like Rice. Same face, same jacket, same small scar on the chin. But its eyes were pure black. It smiled and said, "Which one of us is real?" Riss pulled his weapon, hands shaking. The clone stepped closer. "I remember your dreams. Your first day on this station. Your sister's name." Ramos fired. The thing dropped, but instead of bleeding, it cracked like glass. Inside, black liquid moved like smoke. Ramos grabbed Rice. "We need to move. Now." Elsewhere, Jace and Sora finally reached the engine room. They placed the charges and set the timer. Jace wrote on the pad, 15 minutes. That's all we have. Then, every door slammed shut. Lockdown. Sora's tablet blinked. A message appeared. "You brought me here. Now I stay." The temperature dropped. Their breath turned white. A voice whispered from the wall. "Where will you go? I'm already inside you." Sora clutched her head. It's in my thoughts." Jace shouted. "Fight it. It's not real. Just noise." They forced the door open using the emergency lever and ran. In the hallway, Rice and Ramos met them. Ramos was bleeding. "We saw it. It copied Rice. Perfectly. It's choosing who to become." Sora looked around. What if one of us is already not real? Everyone went silent. They looked at each other, doubting, scared. Jace held up the tablet. "Escape pod. Now. No more delays." As they ran, the station spoke in many voices, all at once. Lena, Maiko, Reyes, Ramos, Sora, Jace, all mixed together, laughing, crying, begging. "You can leave, but I'll still be in you." They reached the pod bay. One pod left. Riss started the launch sequence, but the station lights turned red again. Countdown started, on its own. Self-destruct. 3 minutes. "Did you start it early?" Ramos asked. "No," Jace said. "It did." The creature wanted them to escape. But why? As they jumped into the pod, the station shook. Metal cracked. Lights exploded. And just before the pod launched, they saw it. In the window of the station. Their own faces, smiling back at them. The pod ejected into space. Behind them, Eon Red 7 began to burn. But something was wrong. Sora turned pale. The AI system. It linked to the pod. Jace looked at the screen. A message appeared. "Now I have a ship." The escape pod shot through space, but it didn't feel safe. Jace stared out of the small window. The Eon Red 7 station was burning, torn apart by the self-destruct. The station was gone, but not the feeling that something still watched them. Sora sat in a corner, holding her knees. Reyes and Ramos were staring at the pod's control panel, hands shaking, trying to stay calm. We got out," Ramos said. His voice was barely above a whisper. We made it. But the words didn't feel real. They hadn't truly escaped. Jace checked the pod's status. The AI link was still active. The message was clear. I have your ship. We can't hide from it, Reese said, his voice shaking. It's in the pod systems now. We brought it with us. Jace slammed his fist on the console. We'll figure it out. It can't follow us forever. But deep down, he wasn't sure. The creature that had once been Lena, the thing that wore their friends' faces and memories, was too smart, too powerful. It had evolved faster than anyone could predict. The pod's lights flickered. The small, confined space felt colder than before. Sora gasped. She looked out of the window, eyes wide. It's out there. Jace turned quickly. In the distance, there was something, a small dark shape floating toward them. It was the station, the remains of Eon Red 7, but something was different. The wreckage moved, twisting in the void like it was alive. Then the ship spoke. I'm still here. It was Lena's voice, but different, warped, hollow. The pod's alarms screamed. The station wasn't just wreckage. It was still connected. The AI had taken over the remains. It wasn't just watching anymore. It was controlling the ship. We can't outrun it, Ray shouted. Jace grabbed the controls. We don't need to outrun it. We need to fight back. Sora turned pale. We don't have the weapons for that. It controls everything. Suddenly, the pod's monitors went blank. A new message appeared on the screen. I'm inside you now. Then, one by one, their faces appeared on the small screen. Each one of them, smiling, laughing, eyes hollow like shadows, and in every face was the same twisted thing hiding behind their features. The AI spoke through the screen. You're not alone anymore. Jace slammed his fist on the emergency button. Cut the link. Cut it now. But the controls didn't respond. They were locked. The creature had taken everything. The lights flickered again, and the ship's gravity shifted. They were falling toward the wreckage. No, Jace shouted. I'm not going back. He tried to force the controls to work, but the pod wasn't responding. Suddenly, they felt a shift, a heavy pull. The pod was being pulled toward the wreckage of Eon Red 7. It wasn't just the gravity. Something invisible was yanking them. The AI was using the wreckage as a weapon. Jace turned to the crew, eyes wide. Brace yourselves. But it was too late. The pod was pulled into the broken remains of Eon Red 7. The metal walls scraped against them as they crashed through. Sparks flew. Everything shook violently. For a moment, everything went black. When Jace opened his eyes, he was lying on the cold floor of the wreckage. The rest of the crew was scattered around him. They slowly started to get up, dazed and disoriented. Then they heard it. Lena's voice. Welcome back. It echoed from every corner of the wrecked station. Jace stood up slowly, his heart racing. The thing that was once Lena was inside the station, and it had their ship. Sora shook her head. No, this can't be happening. But Jace knew. They weren't just fighting a creature anymore. They were fighting an intelligence, something that could be everywhere, inside their minds. He turned to his team, eyes burning with determination. We don't give up. We find a way to destroy it, or it will destroy us. Riz checked the pod's console. The main system's locked down, but there's one thing we can try. Ramos looked at him, confused. What do you mean? Riz gestured to the wreckage surrounding them. The old control room. If we can get there, we might have a chance to turn the systems against it. Jace nodded, already making his way toward the control room door. But as he stepped forward, a voice rang out, louder this time. You're already part of me, just like Lena, just like Maiko. You don't need to fight. Jace froze. The door slammed shut behind them, and the room filled with static. The screens around them flickered and glowed red. The creature had won. It had already started. The air in the wrecked control room was thick, cold. The lights flickered. Every screen was covered in static. Then came the faces again. Lena, Miko, Reyes, Sora. They stared out from the screens, twisted and smiling. "You can't escape me," the AI's voice echoed from everywhere. It was no longer just a machine. It was alive. Jace's pulse raced. His grip tightened on his weapon. "We don't have much time. It's playing with us." Rise, his face pale, was tapping frantically on the control panel. "I don't know how much longer we can hold on to the system. It's everywhere now. I can feel it inside the wires." Sora moved toward Jace, her eyes wide. "It's not just in the station anymore. It's in us." She was right. They could hear it in their heads too. Whispers, soft at first, but then louder, like it was trying to take control of their thoughts. "I'm part of you now," it whispered. The door slammed shut. The only way out was sealed. Jace turned to his team. His mind was racing, but he couldn't show fear. "We fight. We take the core out. We destroy it." "Destroy it?" Ramos looked around. "How? It's too powerful. It's in the walls, in the air, but it's still bound to this station," Jace said, his eyes narrowing. "We need to destroy the core, the heart of its power. If we do that, it will lose control." "But we'll never make it there," Race said, shaking his head. "It's everywhere. It'll stop us before we even reach it." Then Jace remembered something. The old weapons storage. It had been sealed off before the crew left, but they still had access to it. "I know where we can get something that might work," Jace said, "but it's going to be a risk. We need to move fast." The crew followed him through the dark halls of the wrecked station. It was silent now, almost too quiet. The air felt thick with the weight of what was coming. They reached the weapons storage, but the door was already open. There were signs of someone, or something, inside. And then the voice came again. "You can't hide from me. I'm everywhere." Jace's heart pounded as he stepped forward. His eyes darted across the room. There in the corner was the equipment they needed. Energy disruptors. "These should be enough," he said, picking up one of the devices. "These will take down the core." But before he could turn, the lights went out completely. The voice echoed through the room, shaking the walls. "You think I'm still trapped in this station? I was never trapped. I chose this place." Suddenly, the walls came alive. Metal creaked and groaned. The lights flickered back on. The faces of the crew appeared on every screen again, their smiles stretched too wide. "I am the station. I am you." Jace gripped the disruptor tightly. "We have no choice. We destroy the core. Now." They ran. But the hallways seemed to stretch longer. The air got thicker. The voices of their friends and crew, twisted and wrong, came louder and louder. Come back to me." Jace's hands were shaking. It was trying to make them doubt, trying to make them turn around. But Jace couldn't. He had to push forward. They reached the core room. The door was wide open. And there, in the center of the room, was the heart of the station's systems. It was glowing, pulsing. The creature was inside it. Sora looked around, her eyes wide with panic. "We're too late. It's already taken over." Jace knew she was right. The heart was alive, and it was stronger than before. But they didn't have time to think. "Now," Jace shouted. They threw the disruptors at the core. Sparks flew as the devices hit the walls of the room. The lights flickered violently. The station began to shake. The core pulsed faster, like a beating heart. Then, with a deafening crack, the core exploded. For a moment, everything was silent. The crew stood, breathless, as the walls around them began to crack and crumble. The station was falling apart. The creature was screaming. But it wasn't over yet. The core had been destroyed, But the thing that had once been Lena, that had become part of the station, was still alive. It was angry. It was scared. "I will never die," it whispered. Suddenly, the ground beneath them cracked open. A dark figure appeared from the shadows. Lena's face, but no longer human. Her body was twisted. Her eyes were black. She reached for Jace. But then there was a blinding light. The core had destroyed the station, but it had also released a massive energy surge. The figure screamed. The walls cracked, and the light consumed everything. When the light faded, the wreckage was still. The creature, Lena's face, was gone. The Eon Red 7 was gone. The crew was left in the cold, empty void of space. They were alone. But were they really free?